Hi everyone, it's Lou Collins. Today I want to show you a really pretty background that you can create using the leaf background die set from my Texture Spring Awakening collection. So this is going to be a little bit of a time-lapse video, so I'll pop some music on so you can watch me colour, because the colouring does take a long time, and I'll make sure I let you know of any particular techniques I'm using whilst I'm going through the process. So I'm going to be focusing on the die, but I wanted to just share with you the stamp as well, because they are coordinating, but you can absolutely use them both separately as well. So this is the leaf background stamp. It's a large A5 stamp, and as you can see, I've just stamped it here. I've just used VersaFine, a brown ink here, onto a pale green cardstock, and as you can see, you get this beautiful kind of deep shades and tones on there just from the one stamp. This is called a half tone stamp. I just think that's absolutely beautiful for foliage, but as you'll see when you layer over the die, that fits absolutely perfectly over the leaves, and you can then outline those and make them look a little less realistic, but still a really fun image. So that's the stamp. Let's pop that to the side because we're not going to be focusing on that today. Now I have die cut two of this die here. I'm not worried about the border at the moment because I do have a border die included in here, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just worrying about the centre for now, and I'll trim the edges later. I am going to use a spray adhesive, and I'm going to pop one of these layers onto some white cardstock, and this is white cardstock that is suitable for using with pencil crayons. Now the reason I'm using two layers is so that I can use the first one as a guide to put my colour down, and then I can use the top one afterwards, and this is just going to overlap. And if I've got any of that colour that I'm putting down on the edges, on the borders and the lines here, this is going to neaten everything up afterwards and just finish it off, and also give it a little more depth as well within those borders. Now, as you can see, just layering white on white is a really beautiful effect as well. It kind of looks like an embossed image. There is an embossing folder in the Spring Awakening collection, so I definitely would say go check that out because it's absolutely beautiful, but that is floral rather than leaves. The beauty of leaves as a design is that it's suitable for all different genres, all different ages and all different occasions. So it's a really handy kind of image or background to have in your craft stash. Now before I go in with the pencils and add much more detail, I'm going to give this a wash of colour. So mostly green, but I am going to add a little bit of black as well. These are for the Creative Craft Products watercolour inks. So as you'll see, I'm just going to put a tiny little dot of colour onto an acrylic block here. This could be something like your stamping platform. It could just be a silicone mat, something that's water resistant, anything like that. Just a surface that you can clean up really well afterwards. Everything's water based. And I'm going to just spritz the ink there just to water it down and lightly spritz. Now the cardstock that I've used at the bottom is a watercolour cardstock, so this is going to take this colour really well. Now I am going to end up going over my leaves because it's just going to be a lot quicker. But like I say, I've got the additional cutout here, so it's not a problem. So I'm just going to add this base colour. All this means is that I'm going to be using a lot less of the pencil crayons later on, so it's going to be much easier for me to add in the detail without worrying about filling in loads of white space. So this is just eliminating all the white. Now of course you could alternatively go in straight away with a green cardstock, for example, if you wanted to underneath, and then that would do the same sort of job. But I really like the effect of the watercolour and the fact that I'll still get some light and dark tones. So I just had enough green ink there with one dot of ink to colour in the whole surface. Then I'm going to just pick out some dark areas with the black ink. Like I say, this really isn't essential, but it's going to save me so much colouring with my pencils and make the process a lot quicker. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the ink, and I'm just going to start putting this in areas where there's not actually any leaves, where it's just blank space. There, I think that is everything for the black, so I'm just going to clean this up. And it's essential that your paper, your cardstock, is completely dry before you go in with your pencils. Once it's fully dry, you've got your base colours down, now we can go in with our pencils. You can pop your second die cut over the top just to ensure that you're happy with where the dark areas are, and as you can see, that really makes a huge difference. Picking those out early is going to just make it all so much easier for you. Now I've got my brand of pencil crayons, which is, it comes in a really large set, but if you've got a smaller set, you don't have to have expensive pencils for this. You can use virtually any brand that you have already, because all we're going to do is start adding darker elements to the bases and the centres of the leaves. And we're going to do little flicking motions. So we're flicking out towards the edges of the leaves and out towards the tips. So building up the colour more towards the centre. And I've chosen to go for a kind of a darker shade of the base colour here. And if you pick 3 or 4 darker shades, if you have enough pencil crayons within your stash, then you're really going to get a nice variation of colours going through your project. So there's some really basic pencil colouring, just making sure that I'm using deeper pressure or harder pressure to capture darker areas of the leaves. And when I lay this over the top, of course, that all looks so much neater and you've got loads of depth in that image. So I'm going to now just pop this over the top. I've cut my panel into 2 pieces, just so that I've got 2 card bases from it, so 2 card backgrounds. I tend to send anything between A5 cards to smaller 6x6 cards, 5x7, so I really do vary it. So it's nice to have a couple of different size panels that I can add to whatever size card base I'm doing. So I'm going to pop this just down here. The focal point of this is not only going to be the background, but it's also going to be one of the sentiments that also come from this same collection. So this is from the words. So I think I'm going to actually mix those with one of my sentiments for all paper pack sentiments too. So I think I might take something like celebrate, and something like, oh, in style you've got there, so you can mix and match the words. There's lots here. I'm going to have a little browse through and figure out between this and the sentiments for all pack what I want to put, but I've also got the option of using the alphabet as well if I wanted to spell a name, for example, or use a specific word that I don't already have in this pack. So I've found the word hello here. That's going to fit with the word friend from the pack that's in the Spring Awakening collection. These two together I think are going to make a really nice sentiment. And just to keep with the natural theme, I'm going to add a little bit of baker's twine. So I'm just going to punch a couple of holes. Probably best to mark these with a pencil first rather than like me just go in completely blind and guessing it. But I'm going to punch the holes there, and then I'm going to thread some twine through and tie a little knot in the front. There we go, and that finishes that card off. A really pretty background for absolutely any occasion. You can of course make that brighter by not adding the black background in there, but I love the depth that we get. So that is using the Textures Leaf Background die set. And like I say, don't forget we do have the coordinating stamp if you prefer not to do your colouring. That's going to give you a card that looks a little bit like this one here. So you've got your stamped detail and shading the background, and I've used a gold overlay instead there. Everything, including the rest of the Spring Awakening collection, can be found down in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget, of course, to subscribe to the channel just here, and I think you're going to really like this video just here too. Take care, everybody. I'll see you again very soon.